What pushes you over the edge with your house? Maybe it's guests coming over with no warning, or maybe you open your Monica closet and an avalanche starts, and suddenly you're doing an inventory of decisions you made in 2019. And that's it. You're done. You finally are going to deal with it. So you walk into the room that's been bothering you the most. Maybe the storage room, the garage, the closet that had the door closed for months, and you start pulling everything out. I'm going to go ahead and stop you right there because that instinct is very often taking you to the exact wrong place with exactly the wrong approach that will sabotage your results faster than walking through a bakery on a diet. So let's talk about 3 mistakes you might be making and what to do instead. Mistake number 1 is starting in the wrong place. Now, when people get pushed to their breaking point, they almost always attack the thing that has been bothering them for the longest. And I get it. It might be the storage room, the garage, the basement, and the closet that nobody opens. The reason why it feels like that this is the biggest problem. So we think this is the right place to start. It's the thing you picture when you feel ashamed of your house. It's the last place you would take your guests on a house tour. So naturally, it feels urgent, like you just suddenly can't sit in it for another minute, even though you have been living with it for years. But here's the thing. That room is actually not the room that is really affecting your daily life. You don't walk through your storage room 15 times a day. Normally, if you do, okay, well, let me know in the comments below. You also don't open that closet every single morning while getting ready. I'm not talking about your bedroom closet, I'm talking about like a distant packed closet. It's been sitting there bothering you in the background like a low hum of guilt, but it's not actually where your day-to-day stress is actually coming from. And if you were to start there, you would spend hours, sometimes an entire weekend, or dare I say months, pouring energy into a space that, even when finished, isn't actually going to change how your daily life actually feels. You'll be sore, exhausted, and mentally fried. And somehow you're going to walk into your kitchen the next morning and everything is going to feel exactly the same. That disconnect is deeply discouraging. You did real work, you made real progress, but your actual daily experience in your home barely shifted. The right place to start is wherever you actually live your life. Maybe your kitchen, where the counter has random piles of paper and appliances that are slowly creeping out from the wall like octopuses. Wouldn't it be nice to have a clean kitchen where the counters are pretty clear, there are no piles, it's easy to walk in, it's easy to cook a healthy meal? Or maybe your entryway table that is piled with junk mail from 6 months ago and you're like, wow, look at this sale from Christmas. How about being able to walk into that front door and be like, look at this open spot. I can put something down, take off my shoes, and then pick that thing up and go and put it away. Now, I know these spaces feel less dramatic than a storage room that just feels stuffed to the brim, but these are the spaces you touch, you see, and you experience constantly. And when they get lighter, you feel it immediately. Every single time you walk past them, you can give yourself a high five, which encourages you to keep going. And do not worry, your storage room is not going anywhere. Weirdly, it is the only patient thing in your house. Now, I always tell people, just picture their day. Where do you actually stand? Where do you reach for things? Where does your eye land first thing in the morning and last thing at night? Start there, not where the guilt has been slowly accumulating for the last 3 years. Remember, day one enthusiasm is not a cleaning strategy. Now, before we go any further, I want to explain why decluttering feels so paralyzing to begin with, because I don't think people give themselves enough credit here. This is not a willpower problem. It's a brain problem, and understanding it changes everything. When you stop and start, your brain is processing every single item in your visual field, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. Researchers at Princeton found that visual clutter competes for your brain's attention in a measurable way, reducing your ability to focus and to process information. So when you walk into an overwhelming room, part of what you're feeling is your brain honestly just struggling to keep up with everything that it is seeing. It's assessing, is this a threat? Is this something that I need for survival? Your brain is trying so hard. Now add decision fatigue on top of that. Every single item in a cluttered space represents a decision that you haven't made yet. Keep it, toss it, fix it, donate it, move it. Your brain, it sees all of this as unfinished business, and it holds on to the tension the same way that a waiter holds onto an order in their brain. And that is actually a documented psychological phenomenon called the Zeigarnik effect. And I've talked about it in the past, and it is basically the context that open loops have for a waiter who hasn't delivered something yet, or for us in our house when we haven't dealt with things. A cluttered space isn't just messy, it's hundreds of tiny unresolved decisions all humming quietly in the background of your mind at once. So when you finally hit your breaking point and you decide you're going to declutter, you're not approaching it with a clear head. We're already approaching it feeling depleted, already overwhelmed, already running a mental marathon that you didn't choose to start. No wonder the wrong moves feel so tempting. You just want it to stop. You want relief immediately, and that urgency is exactly what pushes people towards the wrong room and the wrong approach. If we haven't met before, I am Robin. I'm a retired ER nurse. I have a bachelor's of science, and now I help women over 40 get their homes and their energy back under control. Now, I spent years in the emergency room and other areas like wound care and endoscopy, watching how chaos in the hospital, but also in our body, compounds when nobody addresses the root cause. And I have spent years since figuring out how those same principles apply at home for myself and for others. Now, everything I just described, the overwhelm, the paralysis, the way your home is draining your energy before you even start dealing with it, is exactly why I built a brand new workshop, and it is called The Missing Piece. It's about how your surroundings affect your energy and how calmer, supportive home habits, and I also have beginner strength, all work together to make every day feel easier to begin. This is unlike anything I have ever offered, and you're going to want to be there because none of these things, your energy, your home, your health, work alone. You can declutter perfectly and still feel totally exhausted if your body has nothing left to give. You can eat well and still feel stuck if your home is slowly working against you every single day. That was me before I found the missing piece. And if any of that feels familiar, that heavy, stuck, don't know where to start feeling, I built this workshop for exactly that. It is free, it's live, so join me at minimalisthome.ca/workshop. It's on August 13th. You can join. Yes, there's a replay available, but you're going to want to come live if you can. Now, let's get back to the mistakes because I want you to walk away from this video with the real plan regardless. Mistake number 2 is organizing. And this is the one that I see constantly. And I lived it, so no judgment. It might be the most important thing in this entire video. When people feel overwhelmed by clutter, their instinct is often just to organize, to buy bins, to put things on shelves. I had shelves built by my uncle. We want to sort things into neat labeled categories to make it look better, and I so understand that feeling, that instinct, because organizing feels productive and it feels like progress you can actually see. You can take a before photo and an after photo and feel super proud of what you've accomplished. Plus, there's a massive industry built around this feeling. And I get it. It is super duper appealing. Who doesn't want beautiful matching containers, drawer dividers, labeled bins in every size imaginable? There's a very specific kind of joy in a label maker that no family member could ever compete with. So yes, please, I want the organizing. I want all of the beautiful things. However, organizing clutter is not the same as removing it. If you have too much stuff and you put all of that stuff in beautiful matching bins, you still have too much stuff. You've just moved it around. You've made it look tidier while it continues to take up the same physical space. You've solved no problems at all. It costs you the same amount of time to maintain, probably harder to find stuff in the future, and you're going to drain the same mental energy every single time you have to find something within all of what you have stored and organized. There are statistics that show just how enormous the gap is between how much people own and how much they actually use. Some studies suggest that the average household uses only around 20% of what they own. Girl, 20%! That means roughly 80% of what is sitting in your home right now is doing essentially nothing for your life, except for taking up space, requiring maintenance, and getting in the way. Remember, when you walk in your home, let's feel good and not bad because things are messy. I want your home to be your medicine and not your poison. And if you actually need this stuff, and you're keeping it, you're like, I'm gonna keep this. Why is it sitting in a box? Just in case? Psh, no, you need to get rid of it. The volume is the problem, not the organization of the volume. You cannot organize your way out of having too much. You can only remove your way out of it. So before you buy a single bin, before you sort a single shelf, the real work is deciding what leaves your home entirely. Organizing is important, but it comes after decluttering, not instead of it. And if you skip straight to organizing, you will find yourself right back here in a year or even a month, buying more bins for the same overflowing volume of stuff. Mistake 3 is ignoring the rest of your life. This is the piece that almost nobody talks about. And this is one of the things that I think about the most, probably because of my experience as a nurse. Have you ever heard, and I say this all the time, so maybe you have, but the saying, food, water, and shelter. For survival, food is what we put into our bodies. Water is how we rest and recover. And with sleep, hydration, the things that let our nervous system actually rest. And shelter is our home, the physical environment that we live inside every single day, and how it feels, how clean it is, how organized it feels. Here's what I've noticed over and over. People will try to declutter their homes while completely ignoring the state of their body and their energy. They're running on almost no sleep, they're skipping meals, or they're grabbing whatever's fastest. They're dehydrated without even realizing it. And then they wonder why decluttering feels so impossible. Why they start strong on a Saturday morning and completely quit by lunchtime. Why every single decision, keep, toss, donate, feels 10 times harder than it logically should. Nothing says I've got this under control like decluttering the hallway closet at 11 p.m. on 4 hours of sleep and a granola bar. Decluttering actually requires decision making. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of small decisions in a row. And decision making requires actual physical energy. And energy, when we're thinking about eating, that also is fueling your brain. Have you ever been like so hungry before lunch at work or something? Then you eat and you're like, oh, I can keep going. Like you feel so much better. You were like, thought you needed a nap. Meanwhile, you just needed a snack. And not motivation energy, but real biological glucose and sleep-dependent energy. If your body is depleted, your capacity to make good decisions is depleted right along with it, whether you're aware of that connection or not. And decision fatigue is real. By the time you get to that fourth drawer, you'd honestly keep a broken stapler just to avoid making one more choice.
I believe you have my stapler.
This is the piece people skip constantly. They think decluttering is purely a house project, something you do to the house, separate from everything else in your life. It is not. This is a whole person project. Your nervous system, your energy levels, your physical strength, your sleep quality, all of it shows up in how capable you feel in tackling your home. And the ER nurse in me wants you healthy. Holistic health and homemaking go together. It is the health of your body and your home. And I don't think that's an exaggeration. We take care of our bodies so we can take care of our home. And we take care of our home because it helps us take care of our mind and our body right back. It's not one or the other. It is both, feeding each other constantly in the loop that runs in either a supportive direction or a depleting one. So if you're trying to declutter while running on empty, the house is not actually your problem in that moment. Your capacity is. No amount of motivation is going to fix a body that doesn't have the resources to keep going. So where do you actually start? Now, if you're completely overwhelmed right now, here is what I want you to do. First, make sure your body has what it needs today. Water. You'd be shocked at how much more energy you have just by getting enough water. Something to eat. Ideally something with protein and not a ton of sugar and like simple carbohydrates. A bit of rest if you can get it. And I know that isn't always possible, but just those first two things can be helpful. But even going to bed a little earlier tonight can be helpful. This is not a delay tactic. It's not an excuse to procrastinate further. This is the actual foundation the rest of it stands on. You wouldn't go on a long trip without putting fuel in your car, right? You cannot make hundreds of clear decisions on an empty, exhausted body. Second, pick a space you actually live in every single day. Not the storage room, not the garage, the kitchen counter, the entryway table. One small high traffic space that you interact with constantly. Third, before you organize anything, decide what leaves. Trash, donate, relocate to where it actually belongs. And then get the volume down first. The bins can come later if you even end up needing them at all once the excess is gone. I have decluttered so many bins over the past several years. And fourth, give yourself real permission to do this in pieces. You don't have to fix your entire home in one weekend. Girl, that's unreasonable. And honestly, trying to do this part is what keeps people stuck in the cycle of starting and quitting. You have to make today a little lighter than yesterday. That's it. Just make the right decision every single day. That's truly, completely enough. Your home and your energy are not two separate problems. They're the same problem wearing two different faces, like those dolls with faces on the front and the back of their head that are really creepy. And how about instead of white knuckling your way through decluttering, while ignoring how exhausted you actually are, you come and join me in the Missing Piece workshop. It's free, it's live, and I would love to have you there. Everything you need to join is below. And if you're looking for some great habits for a clean and tidy home, check out this video here. I hope something great happens for you today. Please like, subscribe, give us a hype. Stay tidy and mighty. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.